But this is Sam and Ellie. They have been working with us for just short of a year. Much like myself and Dan, they are a husband and wife couple, which has its fun moments. But overall, we all find it works really, really well. They have a digital marketing agency based in Leamington, so based here in the Midlands. And one of the kind of main things that they find with their clients and something that they really pride themselves on is the fact they create such good relationships with their clients, and their clients have a real frictionless experience. Everything through the website build to then driving traffic to that website. Sam, Ellie, and the guys over there at Notorious look after. So I'm super excited to speak to you about your experience in working with us.
Okay, so I've got a kind of a bit of a mixed background in marketing. So I started out at an agency and then I went in-house and then I joined Sam when he founded the company. So he started the company about 5 years ago and then I joined last year. So yeah, I guess my kind of role is more around the client management side of things, a lot of the paid ads as well. So I run LinkedIn ads for a lot of our clients. So yeah, a lot of the project management kind of comes through me. And then Sam is kind of more he does a lot of the tech stuff and the SEO. But yeah, I'll hand over to him to tell a bit more about that.
Yeah, so I started the company 5 years ago, just around lockdown. I was working for another digital marketer, well, more of a design agency, and decided I could sort of do it better myself. Bit naive, but yeah, went for it. Apparently so. Yeah, set up on all the things that I didn't like about what we're doing, built Notorious and built our service offering around that to try and be the opposite of what we were providing in terms of still providing a good product, but making sure there's more of a service to it. And that sort of evolved into the website as a service, building a website, but then making sure it helped small businesses by actually generating traffic to it. So being the founder of the company, I end up doing a bit of everything. My main skill set is probably sales, but yeah, it's been a lot of operational stuff and sort of building a team, which is where our partnership with you guys has come into play. And yeah, we're growing as we get older. Yeah, so we're mainly working with small businesses, small, medium-sized businesses. These are probably 10 employees to 50. And what they can expect from working with us is somebody that just takes care of their website and helps them with digital marketing that actually generates inquiries for their business or direct sales for their e-commerce company. We tend to, rather than sell a website, for example, £10,000, we'll say, right, let's work together for the next 2 years at £500 a month, and we will take care of everything you don't need to worry about. And where we're working directly with a managing director, it's then that burden off their shoulders of we're a team there that can manage that. Or if we're working with marketing managers, we provide them with all the skill sets they need to do their job and to do what they need to do and keep goals they're set.
Because I guess we can kind of cover everything. So when they have a new team member that's joining or when they want to update anything on the website, it's not that whole, right, okay, I've got to find the details to log into the back end of the website. And if they want to add blog, to their website, it's just kind of removing any of that friction so that we're on hand and they just forward any kind of amends from to the website straight over to an email address. And then our team pick it up and make the change really, really quickly for them, keeping them in the loop all the way through the process.
So Ellie had just joined the company and she was facing, but she was coming in as a previous account manager was leaving. We were using sort of freelancers. So we had a freelance design person. We then had an in-house account manager that was sort of managing all the different resources, and it was all a bit sort of bit a lot of parts making a team rather than actually being a team. It's a lot of people doing individual roles and not necessarily working just for Notorious, but working as freelancers and working on lots of different clients. I think what I wanted to do and how Felix is like, oh, you've got to speak to Dan and Sophie because they're the sort of people that can help with that, is one of my concerns is obviously me and Ellie are now working together. How are we ever going to go on a holiday if we don't have somebody that can look after the shop while we're away? But also I want to make sure that we've got processes and things in place so that we've got a team that we're building. And I think a benefit of first employee we brought on, which was Ruth, was having a designer that was there 24/7 that could actually help us out on everything. And it was a massive help to be able to get back to clients much quicker, not also rely on one single point of reference. So we had the freelancer, and if, for example, she was to go away, we'd be stuck if she couldn't work on certain things. She had other clients and things like that. It became a bit difficult. And yeah, it's a big benefit to have somebody that is just solely focused on uh, our business and supporting us. So that was a huge transformation, I think, for us. Yeah, I think we tried every different method from like government Kickstarter initiative during COVID where we could get them. I've had a few different employees loads of different freelancers from different places, from the Fivers, Upworks, and all these sort of places. Tried a bit of everything, which makes me sound like a terrible employer. It was all met with different success rates. Like obviously some of the employees were really successful, but went on to jobs with better opportunities for them, or more money and whatnot. These sort of things happen. But we did also explore and sort of leaned on a lot like Freelancer and Upwork and Fiverr with mixed results. And I think the difference with working with Resource Worldwide for outsourcing work is there's like a managed aspect to it. We used to pick up people on Fiverr where they'd be good for a bit and then they go missing, or you'd have people that just didn't hit the right results. So yeah, we got loads of different experience of that, and it was just so inconsistent. I think what would benefit from Resource Worldwide is the consistency, but also the team there that help support us as well. It's more than just outsourcing something to somebody in a different country. It's actually working with a team, and you've got the team there with Judith, the account manager, who's on it to help us out and make sure we're doing everything correctly. You touch base with us after 30 days, 3 months, making sure everything's going well. If we ever have any concerns, you help us with the best ways to deal with that. So I'd say it's much more than just outsourcing to Resource, which is what we had done previously. It's also support in that. So we found that really useful.
And it's also the recruitment bit, the early kind of stages of the recruitment, rather than us kind of scrambling and putting jobs out on Indeed and trying to find people. And then, the whole CV, looking at those, Judith or the team are kind of already vetting those for us. So by the time they come to us, they spend time with us understanding exactly what the role is and what we want to get from an individual. And then they vet those CVs with that kind of criteria in mind. So it just takes out a whole load of time. It's, it makes the whole process a lot more efficient.
Yeah. Rather than going through 40 odd in CVs on Indeed or however many was, which is already there pre-vetted thing. We were given like 3 options. These are the best 3 that candidates got, and also already recorded interviews. So we can already get a good opinion of that from watching the interviews that Judith had with them, to know not to waste time, stuff like that. I can imagine that a huge amount of time goes into that process, that saves us from doing that ourselves.
And a task as well, like a preset task that was so useful when we first brought Ruth on. We set her a task that was, a piece of a new client that we just had on, and we set her a homepage already built for the design, but we just wanted to see. And funnily enough, the client actually went with Ruth's design over the one that we'd initially had done. So yeah, that was brilliant when we first started. So yeah, having that task set is a really good way to get an insight into the kind of work they could be doing for your company.
No, don't look at Philippines. I think we're done
Everywhere else.
yeah, Asia, East, everywhere. Yeah, of course. I think when we're quite obviously a smaller size business, it's always quite a big decision to make. Employing someone's always a bigger decision, and there's obviously the financial concerns of all these sort of things. I think how did we overcome the concerns was probably just from the phone calls we had with you, but I suppose also it helped that we been recommended by our mutual friends. So I sort of had a bit of faith from that it would be a good situation. And then I suppose it helped because there was trial tasks and stuff like that. We knew that the design was going to be to that sort of standard. So it helped knowing from the interviews and the trial tasks that, yeah, we knew Ruth could do the job. So I think that sort of helped us go, let's go with it, let's pull the trigger.
For me, it was kind of, obviously I knew that, outsourcing was a thing, but obviously was coming to it a little bit more blind than obviously Sam was. But for me, I was always concerned initially about time zones and how that could work. But yeah, I didn't realize that often the team kind of work a lot later, and actually it's been really seamless. And when we first started with Ruth, she was on less hours. I can't remember how many she was, but we've since upped her hours, and there's been no issues with that. She's really flexible, but also we're really flexible. And so, she'll have a break midway through. But yeah, just the way the time zones worked was not as big of a thing as I thought it would ever be. And she's working essentially, the UK hours, which is great.
I think we've had a couple of holidays since, so that's been nice. I think it's allowed us to expand a lot quicker because we're able to get a lot more work done. Whereas previously we were at max capacity, and we sort of, if we were taking on work, it wouldn't start till like 2 months time because we had everything scheduled. So to say that, okay, if this work's going on, we don't have the design capability for the next few months anyway. So it's allowed us to take a lot more work on and get a lot more work done quicker, which has then had a knock-on effect of clients getting their websites done quicker, which is the service we want to be providing. We don't want clients waiting around to go live. So that's been a huge help. And then that's obviously allowed us to take on more work, which has allowed us to increase our revenue. So that's been a bonus from the company perspective, and that's the main aim of what we're looking do is help provide our services to more clients. And I think this has helped to do that. And then, yeah, from a personal perspective, I think it's just been really helpful to have somebody that we can rely on that's always doing the work. And like you mentioned, holidays and stuff like that, it's good to know that we've got a team in the office and supporting the clients and working on things while we're away. So it's a big step in making it more of a business and less reliant on myself and Ellie, although we still probably are important cogs. We don't have to be there every day. The office doesn't shut. It's still working. There's still work being of clients, and we can take a day or two here and there.
I think it's allowed us to be more proactive as well with existing clients. Obviously, yeah, we've been able to take on more work, but also we've been able to, like, Sam and I have actually had a bit of time back. So we can be able to be looking at clients and thinking, okay, look, there's another avenue that we could be looking for this client. Could we help them out with their social media? Could we be helping them out with their LinkedIn ads? Could we be doing something completely different? And previously we almost just didn't have enough time to be able to be doing that. We were kind of doing the one service that they'd come to us with, and we were doing that well. But this has kind of allowed us to be a little bit more proactive and look down different avenues for them. And also as a business, we've been able to get more of these processes and put them actually like pen to paper and not just be talking about everything. We've actually been able to like create some documents and then give them to Ruth and to the rest of the team for them to understand, and it's freed up time. And also, we have got other freelancers, but Ruth has been able to kind of manage them as well and kind of understand how she fits in with all of those. So that's been really helpful. So now everybody is kind of talking, and we're kind of more of a whole organization now rather than kind of sporadic people doing things that, it's all feels like it's one whole thing now, which is great to see.
We've done in 9 months this year what we did last year. So yeah, I don't know what
So
percentage.
that's about 33%.
Exactly. Yeah. So 33% increase. I think we were up about 40% year on year last year. So from January, we were at 4%, which was really good. So yeah, it's helped us grow, and yeah, it's helped on the sort of revenue that we've got, and also the profits are growing as well. Percentage off the head on that. Yeah, they're looking good as well. Yeah, margin. I'm happy with the margins. I think, like I mentioned, we're getting a lot more work done quicker because we've got more hours to dedicate to clients, but also the cost per hour we were paying is a lot better now. So it's a quarter of the cost almost for design work. I think the only reason the margins aren't as sharing that on the business side is because of other costs we've had. But yeah, I think it's been really good. I think, yeah, as I said, we're at that sort of 30% rate. I want to just keep, if we can keep improving at those sort of percentages each year, the compounding effect, that's going to be huge. So yeah, I know it's for any person owning the business, it can sometimes be a bit overwhelming. When you look back at those sort of figures, you're like, okay, we are actually on the right trajectory. And that's, yeah, what we want to keep doing and keep improving and keep building those sort of things.
Yeah, exactly. It just, the year really got off to a great start, a busy start, but a great start. So yeah, we just want to keep on building on that now and, do everything we can for our existing clients whilst, not letting any of that slip and keep on taking on some new ones.
In terms of people, body, client facing in person, it's probably not possible.
No in-person people.
So that might be quite difficult.
Other than that, yeah, genuinely no one. And, unless you're not looking to grow or you don't want to make things more efficient.
Business to prevent any process in place, maybe. Yes, I think for us it's worked really well because we've got a sort of team of some process in place, and works quite well. That we do most of the client in person stuff. So yeah, if you're set up where you have to have somebody in your office, you're going to struggle. But I think yeah, other than that, it's quite good. Yeah, don't tell other design or marketing agency, but yeah, all our competitors. Yeah, a lot of our industry, I don't think there's a lot of skill set that I suppose people in the UK may be unaware of how good the skill set is abroad, and also language barrier was something we probably thought, oh, that's the reason why we wouldn't do it. The language barrier has never been an issue. So yeah, any business that is the professional service business that is providing service to other businesses, it's probably perfect for. Similar to us, I would probably say accountants. I don't know if there's GDPR stuff involved in that, but anyone where there's a process and something where you have got a organization and you need people, and yeah, Resource Worldwide can provide that. If it's somebody in the back office that is doing a task, then you'd be silly not to look at it as an option. So I suppose one of the apprehensions you sort of have is, oh, it's so cheap, it's too good to be true, and all those sorts of things. And like, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. I think the issue that I hadn't got around what I had thought of, because that it's actually a really well paid job for our team. So, for example, I think in the Philippines, the money that they're getting is actually really good money in comparison to the UK. It seems very cheap to us here, and you think, oh, if we're only paying that, we're not going to get the results. I think that's one of the things that surprised me the most, is the attitude of the people we've worked with has always been great. And it's always been, as you would expect of somebody on that's quite high earning job over here, somebody that actually seems to really enjoy it. They always want to do well, and yet the attitude's been great. And I think that's one of the perceptions that I had, is I thought that it wouldn't be that way, and it would be like when you're trying to employ somebody in the UK at a similar sort of wage bracket, or the issues you get with that, you don't get with this. You get people that are great for work and see really skilled and really talented. So I think that's one thing that caught me most by surprise. I think maybe in the back of my mind from previous experiences and stuff, I was expecting to have that of like language barrier, people just doing it and not really like understanding the scope or anything like that. But I think, the thing that I've been most impressed with is how keen people are to earn. The team have been to work, and the attitude they've brought to work has been really refreshing.
And I think if anyone's thinking about kind of doing it themselves, like you said, I think the biggest thing I'd say to those people is just how efficient the whole onboarding process is, and the bit before onboarding. So yeah, I definitely don't take any of that for granted. And yeah, it's a really, it's a big thing to be growing the team, and you want people by your side that know what they're doing and know a different market. And something that we didn't really know about, we probably could have fudged our way through it, but it would have been nothing like what you guys provide. And yeah, it probably wouldn't have led to somebody that was going to stick with our team long term. So yeah.
Yeah, is that why would ask that question, is why wouldn't you? What have you got to lose, sort of thing? So I think work that out and build it from there, and then work out whether you'll go through the process of, and you're going through CVs like Eddie's just mentioned there, and all of that, and probably a higher cost to employ somebody in the UK. Why would you not give it a go? And you have a bad experience, what you've got to lose. I think that's one thing that I worked out. Okay, if it doesn't go well, how will it look? It won't end our business, so let's give it a go.